Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are diving into one of the most fundamental concepts in Python, which is function. If you are learning Python or want to strengthen your understanding of how function works, this video is for you. So let's get started. So, what is a function? A function is a sequence of statement instruction that performs a particular task. A function is like a black box that can take certain inputs as its parameters and can output a value after performing a few operations on the parameters. A function is created so that one can use a block of code as many times as needed just by using the name of the function. The question arises, why do we need function? So now you can either write the formula pi2 pi r2 10 to the 10 times, or you can simply create a function that takes the value of the radius as an input and return the area corresponding to that radius. This way you could not have to write the same code formula 10 times. You can simply invoke the function every time. So once a function is defined, it can be used over and over again. So a code containing function is concise and easy to use, whereas it is easy to find and correct the error in a function as compared to raw code. So first of all, let's say how to define a function. So defining a function once defined can be invoked as many times as needed by using its name without having to rewrite its code. A function in Python is defined as per following the syntax. So whereas syntax of a function is, let me show you, it would be always written as def. So def is a expected function where you give the function name and also you give the parameter to that function, whereas the parameters. So this is how you define function, whereas I would say function docstring, which also express the function's body, a statement or instruction. So this is how we use the function as a function's body, and the defined function for def is always used as syntax for a function. So in the function block diagram with the keyword def followed by the function name and parentheses. So the input parameters or argument should be placed within these parentheses. You can see it clearly. This parentheses. So you can also find defined parameters inside these parentheses. So the return statement exits a function, optionally passing back an expressive value to the function caller. So let's say adding two numbers. Adding two numbers. So I say that def add comma b, and I would say return a plus b, where result equals to add, I say 3 comma 5. 3 comma 5, and I would say that I will also use a string that the sum is comma sult result. So now let's run the function, and here we get the sum is 8. So this is how we always define a function, where I define that adding two numbers. So add a comma b, where return a plus b, and the result should be add 3 comma 5, where I would print the string sum, the sum is with semicolon and the result. So the result is add 3 comma 5. So defining a function will give me the answer as 8, which is 3 plus 5 is 8. So this is how we improvise the function. And now what is calling and invoking a function? So once you have defined a function, you can call it from other function, program, or even the Python prompt. To use a function that has been defined earlier, you need to write a function call. A function call takes the following form, which will be in a form of string, which has to be passed by an argument. So the function is, if I add 5 comma 7, then the function is called a equals to 5 and b equals to 7. So this is how the Python arguments and parameters are used, where, as you know, that you can pass the value of a function. For this you define variables to receive values. For function parameters, as you know that you can pass the value to the function. For this you need define variables to receive values in the function. So definition, and you send values via function call statement. For example, if we add a function, we have two variables, that a and b, to receive the values, and while calling the function we pass the values 5 and 7. So we can define these two types of values. So whereas, what are types of function? So we can also divide functions into the following two types. First is the user defined function, and the another one is the inbuilt function. So when we are using a user defined function, so when we are using a user defined function, the function that are defined by the users, for example the add function. So for the add function, as I have told you earlier, that we will be using as define add, where return a plus b, and the result should be add 3 comma 5, so that it could print the result as sum. So for as, I will also take another example to show you it all clearly once again. So let's say that define add, again a comma b, semicolon, and I would say print simply and tab, and I will be going with a plus b. Now I say that z equals to add 2 comma 3. Now I would say that print z. So now let's run the function and see, here you get the answer is 5. So this is how the output will be given to you as 5, where in the function I added a comma b, where I have to print a plus b, and for the function I said z equals to add 2 comma 3, and the function we print z, we give the variable. So you can see here the function defines the print value for itself. So now the another function comes is an inbuilt function, which is function that are inbuilt in Python. So for example, the print function or the type function. These two functions are inbuilt in the functions which are already used by the Python. So where I can show you with an example. If I say that a equals to 5, and the string I'll be using as string equals to redshift, and there's an inbuilt function. Okay, there's an inbuilt function which is called print function. So I will also type it for you in build print function, print function. So there I say that print a. Now I would also say that inbuilt type function to check the data type of the variable. So I also type print, and in print I type type to check the data of the data type of the variable, and string. So now let's clear the terminal and let's see what we get. So once I get, it is the answer is output is 5 because we print a, and now I say that print the type of string. So string is of string type. So where redshift is a string formation, so we will get the class string. So this is how we use these inbuilt functions and the user defined functions. Now comes function overloading. As opposed to other language, for example C++, Java, methods of functions are overloading is not supported in Python by default, but they can be achieved in various ways. We can define multiple functions with the same name, but only the last function will be considered, all the rest gets hidden. For example, if I say that in method 1, so let's say that defining a function, define mult multiple, and I say a comma multiply a comma b. So in this function, I'll be using print, sorry, not return. I will just go with print function, print, and let's say print a comma b. Then again going with another, defining a function again, define multiply, and I would go with multiply a comma b comma c. Now I would say that print, where is multiply b multiply c. Now if I say that 2 comma 4 comma and the other c is 3, or we say that multiply, we are giving the integers to the numbers, so I would say 2 comma 7. So now if we get the print the run the command, then let's see what we get. So once we run the command, it will say that mult missing 1 is required positional argument in C. So in C it is a positional argument, but in functions in Python, the functions with the same name but only the last function will considered and rest gets hidden. So in the above code there are two multiply methods, but the Python compiler can only see the last. So that is the only one with 3 parameters. Therefore, even though we can define multiply methods with the same name at the different arguments, but only the last one can be used. So calling any of the other method will produce an error, like here calling with the mult 2 comma 7. So this issue can be overcome by the following method, which will be used by the one. So in this method what will we do, we will be decorate and will be installing the multiplied dispatch method. So to do this I'll be just copying this pip install, and in the terminal I'll be writing it. So pip install multi dispatch, and once I install it I will get the required library into the Python, and see default to install because normal site package is not, and now yes, it has already been installed into the version. So now what will we do, we will be rewriting this function. So before I rewrite this function, I will just say go ahead and write here as say at the rate dispatch, at the rate dispatch, and I'll go with int comma int, which is integer comma integer, and def, which was a function, and then we go with another dispatch function where I'll be writing as at the rate dispatch int comma int comma int, and now we'll be printing this function again, and let's see what we get. So let me clear the terminal. Once I clear the terminal, and okay, so dispatch is not uh, seen here. Okay, so once the dispatch is not coming to us, let's go and check what was the logic behind it. So here we have one thing we were missing is from. This is multi dispatch and import the library dispatch. So once the library was imported, then we get the answer is 24 and 14. So this is how, this is the required answer will you get, that 2 sevens are 14, and if we say 4 twos are 8 and 8 threes are 24. So there we get the answer of all the functions we have defined. So this is how we'll be using the function overloading in the functions. So that's all for today's tutorial on function in Python. I hope you find it helpful. If you didn't, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, leave a comment with any suggestions or questions for future topics. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Keep learning and keep coding. Thank you.